I've got myself a new tent with the longest name in the world. It's a Wild Country by Terra Nova Helm Compact 2. I bought it to replace my Helm 1, which I would still highly recommend, but I want this for my sort of bad weather, wet weather tent. So I just wanted that little bit of extra space inside. I did buy this myself. Now, if you go onto Terra Nova's website, it's 260 quid, but I managed to find it on a website called WebTogs for £174. So a bit of a saving there, a really big saving there. I did get the footprint as well. I found that at Fresh Air Junkies. That was 32 quid. I don't always use it, but it does protect your ground sheet. And with the Helm 2, it gives you a floor in your porches as well, or vestibules if you're posh. The pack size is 32 by 17 centimetres, so it's a decent size, but I always pack my tent separately, with the tent separate from the poles and the pegs. So I've got myself a new dry bag and we'll pack it in that at the end and see what it packs down to. It does weigh in at 2.35 kilos as well, so it's not the lightest, but for a tent that I'm going to be using in bad conditions, that's going to stand up to some bad conditions, it's not too bad at all. Similar sort of weight to the Nature Hike Cloud Peak 2. The bags that these come in are really cool as well, really wide opening and easy to pack into. I do still store them in the bag that they come with, even though when I'm going for a camp, I pack things separately. So we've got poles, they're 8.5mm Superflex alloy poles, and then these are the pegs. I really like the pegs that these tents come with. They're a V shape, and then they've got this sort of hook bent bit on the end that's really good for driving them into the ground and pulling them back out again. Let's get this set up. Come out of the way, you. It's not up yet. I know it's exciting. Come on, move. It's only 2 poles for this tent. You've got a blue one that goes sort of long ways, head to toe, and then a red one that goes horizontally between the 2 doors on each side. One thing I know some people don't like is the poles thread through these sleeves rather than clips. It's the same with the Helm 1, and I never had a problem with it. You just have to be a little bit careful and just take your time with it. And then you've got loops on these ribbons on each end that you just slot the pole into. That's the poles in, then there's 1 clip on each side to clip the red pole on. And we just line it up with the footprint and slot it on. Then on the corners you've got these adjustable lines that you just hook on. Then you can pull them tight to tighten the tent. So that's what it looks like. Obviously just a bigger version of the Helm 1. You've got vents here, and there's a wire inside there that you can bend and shape to however you want. There's guy lines here that I'm not going to put out today because I'm just in the garden, but you can wrap those around the pole for a bit of extra strength. There's one of those on each side, and then there's another guy line on each end. And for the materials, it's made from 68D ripstop polyester. The fly sheet's a 4000mm hydrostatic head, and the ground sheet's 5000mm. Got 2 bits of Velcro on the door. You do get double zips as well, so you can open from the top to look out, or stick your GoPro out if you're doing a night lapse. So you can see here the footprint's giving you a floor in your porch area. And then the doors have got 2 zips on them, but the zip at the bottom goes all the way along. So you've literally just got that much holding the door on. But then rather than rolling it up, there is a pocket there that you can just stuff it into. Can I come in? So inside, as you would expect, loads of room, loads more than the Helm 1. Clues in the name really, innit? So we've got door on each side with probably just over half, or just less than half, sorry, mesh for a bit of airflow. The rest of it is solid. Now, another thing I like in these tents is the size of the pockets at the ends. So these are really good for shoving in clothes and anything that you just want to stash away. There's a loop up the top here to put a lamp or lantern. So inside it's 105 centimeters high. I've got plenty of room above my head. It's 225 centimeters long, so it will fit a really long sleep mat, the longest sleep mat you can get. And then it's 118 centimeters wide. So for me, on my own, plenty of space for my wide sleep mat and space to put gear. The porches or vestibules are 36 centimetres deep, so they are big enough to sort of boil up some water in if you need to. I think the two main downsides that people would worry about is the weight. Now for me, it's not really an issue. It's probably 300-400 grams above the weight of the Helm 1, so it's worth it for me for the space. And those pole sleeves as well rather than clips, because you do have to be a little bit careful when you're threading your poles through. But as long as you're aware of it, you can live with it. There are adjustments you can do as well to tighten the inner. There's clips between the inner and the outer that we'll go and have a look at. So hopefully you can see here, there's a buckle that connects the inner to the outer, and you can pull that and adjust it to tighten things on the inside. But I always leave it loose for packing up so that I can retighten it when I pitch the tent again. So this is obviously just a first look at the tent. I'm going to get it packed up into this dry bag now, because I'm going to be taking it out for a camp next weekend. So if you want to see how it performs on a real camp, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel. It is free, and let's face it, not much is free these days. Can't beat the smell of a new tent, can you? Make sure I loosen the corners off as well, so it's easier to pitch. And then before you start to pull the poles through, just make sure they're unslotted. Are you kidding? Come on, fatty. Move. Move. Come here. Sit that side. Good girl. So the dry bag is just off Amazon, I think. 20-litre one. More than enough. So that should be a lot easier to pack into the bottom of my bag now. And then on my Kestrel 48, I've got a separate pocket down the side that I can put the poles and pegs into. So that's a Wild Country Helm 2. As I said, just a first look. I'll be taking this out next week. If you did find this video useful, give it a thumbs up and help it spread to more people. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I'll see you next time.